if God is in the mix, then you can expect spiritual warfare, because there's a very real devil, an enemy, who when he knows that you are going to accomplish something good, he's going to do everything he can to try to stop that from happening. And he'll hurt you and your family. Like you think of Job and everything that happened to him, right? That's all crazy. There's adversity because he knew Job was a danger to him. And so adversity is going to come. It's not a question of if it will. It is going to come. And so with that, right, that we have to be reminded of the why, ultimately, that everything is going to seem like failure in the middle of it. But if you can expect it to happen, if you know God ordained it, then he's going to orchestrate a way to get through that.
Hey there, and welcome to the Midweek Moment, where we talk about questions about life and faith and how they both come together. Today, we're going to talk about the power of a compelling vision. And we have Pastor Jared in the house.
Yes, sir.
To help us with this conversation.
Yeah.
So let's talk vision.
Let's do it.
Leaders have clear and compelling vision.
Yeah.
What makes a great, compelling, godly vision?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the thing with vision is there always has to be, in my opinion, like a distinct need that you're addressing. If you had a vision of, I just want to make good burgers, it's like, cool, but so does McDonald's and Burger King and In-N-Out and all those places. So it has to be compelling, where it's a distinct need that you're wanting to address. And I think with that, like especially as Christ followers, it has to be God ordained, which means we have to go to him. We have to ask him. I think we can come up with great vision of what I want to do. Cool, but what does God want to do? And what is the need that he wants to address through you? And so I think it always has to be a distinct need that you're addressing. And with that too, it has to align with your values. If you had a vision that went against your values, you'd be probably pretty ineffective as an organization, as a family, as a leader, because you're going opposite directions against yourself. So I think that's one big thing: is, does it meet a distinctive need, and is it a need that God has addressed as well?
And I love how you said part of it is God ordained.
Yeah.
Like God initiates that vision in our hearts, and that's so key. And when we talk about the word vision, sometimes it could be very intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely.
We think of maybe a boardroom, or an executive level team that cooks up this vision, and they have vision, I don't have vision, but that's a lie.
For sure.
We all have vision.
Absolutely.
And God wants to give us that vision. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good things that we could ask ourselves when it comes to, like, what is the vision he has put in my life? And a lot of it comes down to how he's wired you already. Your response to things you see on the news as you're driving, like, what are the things that break your heart? If you're walking by and everyone else dismisses it, that's not a big deal. But you go, wait, no. That's not okay. Like, that's a sign to you that God has put something inside of you that goes, I can fix that because he's put this desire in my heart. And so I think that's a great question that we could ask ourselves is, what breaks your heart? Oftentimes I think that the deepest vision comes from the deepest burden that you have.
That's good.
So know what that burden is, and don't shake it off. Like, God has wired you to address that.
That's a great way to discern our vision.
Yeah.
Is this something worth pursuing? Is it something from God? Just by asking questions like that.
Yeah.
What breaks my heart? It's a powerful, powerful question. You talked about burden. And when I think about some of the greatest endeavors just that we've seen in our lifetime, it's interesting that they all began with a burden in somebody's heart.
For sure.
Talk about racial equality.
Totally.
I have a dream, Dr. King says, right? It's this burden, this passion that something needs to change.
Yeah.
And if he did it, it'll actually make an impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
People's lives will be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's another great question.
Yeah.
Will this make people's lives better?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many examples. Tom's shoes, the buy one, give one, it was this huge thing growing up, and I bought into Tom's because of that compelling vision. But the story is, the guy who founded it, he went down to Latin America and saw kids running around with no shoes. And he was like, I can do something about this.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. And we can name organization after organization, person after person. So I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
Any other questions come to mind?
I'm just vamping off of you too, is the beauty with when it's a God-ordained vision, when there is something that breaks your heart. We're not the only generation who has dealt with the needs we're seeing now. And so when it's a God-ordained vision, the beauty with that is it moves beyond your lifetime. I think that, like Dr. King, his vision is moving beyond his lifetime. And that's something that is so great that we have to understand that why it's not about me, because God has put a desire in my heart. How can I address needs that I see? Because I know that it's going to move beyond me. I get to leave a legacy. God gets to leave a legacy through me. And so I think that's powerful. I was just vamping off of what you're saying that stuck out. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What are some things that can take us off course when it comes to our vision?
Yeah. Me? Does that count?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pride. It's so easy to get caught up in why I want to do something, to get caught up in my job or family. Like I just get in the way of my own self. And I think when we get in the way, we can easily get frustrated with our job. We get frustrated with our spouse. We get frustrated with our neighbors because we have forgotten the original why. Some people might get frustrated with, hey, I moved to San Diego and they felt God called them here. And now they're at a place because life is just going wild. They're going, did God really call me here? Like, I can't even afford to live here. So why am I here? It's like, well, you forgot that God called you here. So there's something deeper than that. But yeah, I think one of the biggest things is I get in the way of my own self. And that includes your job and your life in general. Yeah. Yeah.
We can cause vision drift just in our own selves.
Yeah.
And I love how you said, like, sometimes pride can creep in.
Mm-hmm.
We started off doing it for the right reason, and then it morphs into like our own platform or, selfish interests. So that's a great thing to be on the lookout for.
Yeah.
I thought, some things that could come in the way too is like intimidation.
Yeah, right.
You look at the size of the need and you feel this burden and you're going, how on earth can I do it? Right. But I think that is what causes us to lean into God more.
Yeah, for sure.
Because God-size dreams and visions can only be accomplished with God.
Yeah.
If we didn't need God, well, that's just my vision. Right.
Totally.
Yeah. Have you ever felt that? Just the burden and like just the overwhelm of.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's always the question of where do I even start? Like, cool, God gave me a vision, but I have no clue what even the first step is. Where do I even go? And I can easily make that an excuse to not do anything.
Yeah.
And if God ordained it, like, he's going to orchestrate how to make it happen, right? And so it can be really easy to allow all of that intimidation and feeling overwhelmed, even comparison of, I have this vision, but man, his sounds way better now that he said it out loud. And it's like, no, but God gave it to you, your vision. And so run after it. So yeah, those are definitely things I think we all feel is, where do I start? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when we're intimidated or we're comparing, the temptation then is to keep the vision a secret.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to tell anybody because it's sure going to it might sound silly or dumb or it's a dumb idea. And so I think that kills vision right off the starting block. And so can you talk about adversity a little bit? And you talked about it in your message this past weekend, which I encourage you listeners, check out Pastor Jared's message. The link is in the description. But talk a little bit about adversity.
Yeah.
You can almost expect it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think anytime you're doing something, especially, and we keep saying this, God ordained, especially your vision, if God is in the mix, then you can expect spiritual warfare. Because there's a very real devil, an enemy, who, when he knows that you are going to accomplish something good, he's going to do everything he can to try to stop that from happening. And he'll hurt you and your family. Like, you think of Job and everything that happened to him, right? That's all crazy. There's adversity because he knew Job was a danger to him. And so adversity is going to come. It's not a question of if it will. It is going to come. And so with that, right, that we have to be reminded of the why, ultimately, that everything is going to seem like failure in the middle of it. But if you can expect it to happen, if you know God ordained it, then he's going to orchestrate a way to get through that and to accomplish it. But yeah, it's always going to be there, which we all hate that. I mean, we all hate it, but I almost think that's a reminder of you're doing something. You're doing something that is meaningful, that is changing the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost an indicator that you're on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, sometimes it can be an indicator that you're just doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you've submitted it to God and you feel like God's birthed that in you, and clearly God's opened doors, I think that's another key too. Yep. It's like what God orchestrates, he opens doors for.
Absolutely.
And then he provides for.
Yep.
He brings people around. And so I think that's a good indicator that, hey, look for adversity because it keeps you on track.
Totally. And it's a reminder too that we always sometimes look for step 10. It's like, God, well, I just want you to show me the finished product. He's like, we'll get to step 10. You're on step 2. You need to take step 3. And so we have to be reminded that God is going to reveal those steps to us as we're faithful to him of what that next thing is. But man, we want so badly, I want to see the final product, God. He's like, just hold on, one step at a time for all of this.
That's great. Any other tips on just moving through and working through adversity? Yeah.
I think with it, prayer is huge. Your response to, are you going to God first in all of it? Because once again, pride gets in the way. It's why isn't the way I wanted to do it? Why is it not working? It's like, well, God wanted it to happen a certain way. Are you going to him to get his guidance through it all? Because if he's going to reveal the step, if you're not going to him, then you're just making up your own steps on how to get there. So I think prayer is key. Having people in your life, mentors in your life who can provide wisdom, people who have been there before, have more life experience, going to them and saying, hey, what do you think about this? How can I grow in this area? And they'll usually, if they love you, speak wisdom into your life on how you can continue to proceed and reach that vision that God has put in your life.
That's so good. Well, thanks for your wisdom on the topic. I learned a lot just from our conversation together. I was reminded this past week in your message, you talked about Nehemiah. You know, and he had this burden to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem that was in ruins, and it was this like God-sized to the moon-sized vision. But he has this really great verse and reminder that he quotes when he was being distracted by people and adversity. I'm doing a great work. I cannot come down from the wall. And I just thought that was his why. You know, in the face of adversity, he kept telling himself, no, this is more important. This is a great work that I'm doing. I can't come down and be distracted by all this nonsense. So thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's honor to, I mean, I learned from you, but vision, it's the fuel. It honestly is the fuel. It's the why you do what you do. And so we always have to keep that in the back of our head of when I feel like I can't do it anymore, you can. Just remember the vision. What did God give to you? And run with that. Yeah.
Well, we hope you were encouraged. Hope you learned something about vision. You have vision on your life. Begin asking those questions and watch how God opens doors in your life so that you can make the lives of other people better. So until next week's Midweek Moments, God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.